Yo guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you my beginner's guide to how to make money in the NFT space and how I personally made $20,000 within my first month. Just before we start this video though, make sure that subscribe button is doing a big wave for 500 subscribers, so make sure you hit that button now to secure your place. The strategy that I employed was the learn and whitelist strategy. So the first part of this learning, what I think you should do is I'm going to show you a lot of influencers on my screen right now, and what I'd advise doing is following their Twitter accounts. I'm going to link them below, and a lot of these people actually also have YouTube channels, and just watching these YouTube channels, following their Twitter accounts, learning about what they're saying about the current market conditions and what projects are doing well and which projects aren't. And it means that you can learn from other people's successes and failures instead of making them by yourself. So this is something that I'd really advise doing. Now, the second part of this strategy is actually going to be getting whitelists. Now, what whitelist allows you to do is it guarantees you the ability to mint a project. It doesn't mean you have to. So this means that if a project is doing really well and you've earned whitelist for this project, it means you can choose to mint it and guarantee yourself some profits. However, if you can see on the day of the mint that it's not doing very well, you can choose not to mint it. So it's a way that you don't really have to risk much money when you're first starting NFT projects. So an example of this working really well, so a big hyped up project was Invisible Friends. Now people managed to get whitelists for this project, and you can see here the floor price is currently sitting at 6.6 Ethereum, and previously we can see it touched even above 10 Ethereum. So it was a way to make around about $25,000 very easily just by securing this whitelist spot. However, you have to be able to make sure you choose the right projects, because if you spend all this time getting the whitelist for the wrong projects, it means you waste a bunch of time and don't make any money doing so. So I'm going to quickly cover some of the best tips to look out for when you are trying to choose projects to try and get whitelists for. So first of all, again, this kind of comes back to the first part of the strategy, learning, seeing what these YouTube influencers are covering on their Twitter and their YouTube channel. Number two is going to be in terms of Twitter followers. So you can see Invisible Friends was a very hyped up project, has so many followers, and the thing about Invisible Friends is that it was organic growth. They didn't do a bunch of giveaways on their Twitter, which kind of inflated the numbers beyond what they should be, but they did it very organically and they grew a very big following. So often you can see these other big Twitter accounts, as I covered yesterday's video, Gummy's Gang, who has a decently large following, but you get it, they just did so many giveaways that this wasn't really organic growth. So you want to try and find a project which is a large following, which is a lot of people kind of behind it who would potentially want to buy it on the secondary market, but also you want to try and find this organic growth. So the next part of the project is really researching it. You want to take time to look into the art. Do you like the art? Do you think it will sell well on the secondary market? Is it unique? And then also looking into the roadmap. You want to try and find if there's some utility behind the project, because if there's neither of these two things that really stand out to you and other people think they stand out as well, then most likely this project is not going to do very well. Something I also like to do is when I'm in the Discord server, kind of talking to people within it, I can try and assess their knowledge. I do this in two ways, just by speaking to them, finding how long they've been in the NFT space and if they've been in other successful projects and what they think about the space in general, and also by looking at their profile pictures. Often if they have, for example, maybe a Neo Tokyo profile picture or another blue chip project, it means potentially they've had a successful mint in the past or they've managed to make money in the NFT space. However, this isn't always true though, but just kind of combining all these factors together and doing your own research and looking at what other people are saying about the project is a really good way to make sure you choose the right projects. So some big points that I try and avoid, and some I covered yesterday, and the reason why Gummy's Gang didn't do very well, I predicted this in my last video, just by researching the project myself, so it saves you a lot of time instead of actually getting whitelists for this project, is a non-docs team. If the team are unwilling to show you who they are and at least provide some sort of name, it makes it a lot easier for them to run away with your money and just under-deliver on the project. Next is going to be, again, referring to the giveaways that people can do on Twitter. If they're just purely inorganic growth through giveaways and handing out these whitelist spots to anyone, then this is something I'd avoid as well. And again, as mentioned previously, you want to truly find something that is exceptional art and also has some utility behind it. These are the key things you want to look for within projects. So assuming you've got your first whitelist spot, now I'm going to talk about the second part of the strategy to make sure you don't lose money on your mint. So the first thing you want to do is you want to check the floor price, and this is the minimum price at which the project is being sold. And to get a more up-to-date of the actual floor price for a project, because sometimes this little number up here is a bit out-to-date, what I suggest going is over to the activity page, and then you can see the more up-to-date sales behind this project. So what you want to try and do is you want to try and find that the floor price is decently above the mint price. Otherwise, people aren't going to actually mint the project because they can just buy cheaper off the secondary market, and generally this spells very bad things for a project. Now, in terms of the best time to sell your NFT, generally, even for bigger projects such as Invisible Friends, you can see they generally start off quite high, then they kind of tend to dip down over time. And you can see this also with Hype, another big project at the time. Now, people didn't really like the art on this one, hence it's such a big decline. But generally what happens is over the first couple of days before reveal, the price kind of seems to kind of stay steady around the high, around a mark. And then you can see after here, this is around the time of reveal, the price just dipped. Now, it dipped much harder than it normally does to this project because people didn't like the art at all. But generally what happens is people hold an NFT project for reveal because they're really hoping to get a rare one, which they can sell for much more money. But then if they don't pull a rare NFT, it means they just offload it onto the market and they move on to the next one, securing their profit. So I'd say usually if you want to maximize the odds of securing the most profit possible, generally you want to sell before the art is revealed for the project. One strategy that I think is massively overlooked in the NFT space is actually making connections and trying to join an alpha group. So what I suggest doing is if you're in a Discord, trying to actually have meaningful conversations, whether this be in voice chat, which I think is the best place to do it, but also if you're typing in Discord channels, try and actually talk a bit deeper and try and form a connection with these people. And this means that even after the project, you can still stay connected and you can discuss other projects that you think are going to do good or badly, and you can learn from each other's mistakes and failures and projects which they think are going to do good in the future. And it's just the best thing to do, I would suggest, within the NFT space, is really just surround yourself with other wiser, smarter people. Now, in terms of some safety tip for if you're starting off the NFT space, what you're going to get is you're going to get a flood of DMs every single day on Discord saying this is the next big project, or they're going to send you links. Now, what you should not do at all is you should most likely turn off the DMs. But what you should do is you should never click these links. Scammers are very smart in these spaces and it's very hard to punish these scammers. So you basically just make sure you never click any links. And also the last piece of advice is if something seems too good to be true, it often is. Don't let FOMO and don't rush into things, but take your time because you're putting a lot of money on the line here. So just take your time and think if you actually want to connect your wallet to a site before you rush into anything. But that's going to be the video for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure that subscribe button is doing a big wave of 500 subscribers, so make sure that button that's for your place. Peace.